I feel like having a miscarriage is something that a lot of people don't talk about, which is so hard. And when I had mine, it was a few years ago at this point, because I have my son now. And it was so hard at the time. I got to 10 weeks pregnant. There was a pretty standard blood test that a lot of people do. It takes 2 weeks to come back, and then it kind of came back like inconclusive, or hey, something might be wrong. And the doctors were very nonchalant, like, hey, why don't we just redo it? I'm 16 weeks pregnant. I get this test back that, hey, you know, it's not looking good. Do an amniocentesis. It did confirm that it was a genetic chromosomal thing. Totally, you know, not my fault, even though irrationally you're thinking, oh, what have I done? What could I have done different? Things like that. And it had a 0.03% chance of happening. It was called triploidy. And at that point, I knew the pregnancy wasn't going to work out. And at that point, too, so now I made it to 18 weeks pregnant, and then I started to actively miscarry. But the doctors told me, like, hey, your body's not going to, you know, handle it on its own. We need to help it out. You're feeling a lot of emotions. Some of them, you know, you feel like are like the wrong emotion. Like at sometimes we kind of just felt relieved, like, okay, we have answers, it's over, whatever. But it was just really hard at the time. I wish I knew how often it really did happen to people. And just things like, it's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done. It's not because you ate 17 pickles at night. You know, it's just sometimes it doesn't work out. And hey, here's some of the reasons why, or here's what you can do after. So I wish I knew, you know, that it was more common, unfortunately, than it's talked about. To get me through the experience at the time, I actually didn't utilize any resources or support. I probably should have. My doctors definitely gave us some resources, support groups. I think it was more like just leaning on the people around me and my husband, and just, we kind of really took it to ourselves to get each other through it. So my miscarriage definitely impacted how I felt when I was pregnant with my son. I was super anxious. Just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, like, okay, is this pregnancy going to work out? Do I even want to tell people? Should I get excited? And we actually didn't even like put it on social media until I think I was like 38 weeks pregnant, which is a really long time to, you know, kind of hide a pregnancy. I was just really anxious that like every test that I went to for the doctor, I was like, okay, this is it. This is when it's not going to work out. And, you know, luckily it did, so. Be kind to yourself. It is not your fault. I know you're going to have all those irrational thoughts where you're thinking, okay, what could I have done? You know, did I exercise too hard, or did I eat too many spicy foods, or, you know, whatever wild thing that you're coming up with in your mind, it's not your fault. You need to be kind to yourself. You know, take a few days or a week or whatever you need to like be really sad, and then, you know, lean on your support system, your spouse, your family, your friends. And yeah, it's really hard, but just really just be kind to yourself. It's not your fault is the biggest piece of advice.